بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وأشرفهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Refresh your minds and your souls with a loud salawat for Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Man's journey in this life has to terminate in a specific station. In a station that has been designated for us. We cannot offshoot that station. And this station has been mentioned in the Quran. And sometimes when tragedy strikes, when there is affliction, we mention this sentence. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This journey begins with Him and from Him, and to Him has to be terminated. Wa anna ila rabbika al-muntaha. Surah Al-Najm. Wa anna ila rabbika al-muntaha. Indeed, it is to your Lord that you terminate your journey, you'll end your journey. The goal is your Lord. But oftentimes, we see people in this life create a gap between themselves and their Lord. And this gap is the main cause for disturbance. Emotional disturbance, spiritual disturbance, and happiness, being discontent, being unhappy, being bored, being dissatisfied with their life, with their surroundings. Whenever we ask them, are you happy? The answer is, in most cases, I'm unhappy. Despite having a shelter, despite having means of transportation, and despite having electricity, it's not only 2 hours a day, 24 hours a day. Despite having healthcare, education, schools, universities, shopping centers. But still, they feel unhappy. They feel that they are searching for something in their life. Many of them, they don't know about that thing. That thing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانِ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. We have placed you on this earth here on a path, and you have to struggle on that path in order for you to achieve your goals. If you get out of that path, if you exit from that path, you would not be able to reach your final destination. You would live in wilderness, in confusion and disturbance, in a perpetual state of unhappiness. And this is what you see with most people around you today. Oftentimes I bring this example, that in the West, in particular in America, we have the best education system, probably, the best healthcare system, the best defense system, the best entertainment system. The whole world follows what happens in Hollywood. They follow the movies, the entertainment industry. But yet when you come to the people in America, you find a huge portion of them are unhappy. Among 300 million people there, 70 million of them, they survive on sleeping pills. They survive on sleeping pills, 70 million among 300 million. In a country that in terms of materialism, everything is available. Everything is at your disposal. But when you come to the spirit, to the soul, to the food of the soul, this is missing. إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. He placed you on this earth on a special highway, that this highway should lead to Him. If you exit from that highway, if you decide that this path and this road is not for me, you would not be able to find happiness in your life. The example of a child who is probably 2 years old, 3 years old. Take him away from his mother, from his biological mother, natural mother. Maybe if you take him away from his biological mother at the age of 6 months and you give him to another family, he would not realize the difference. But when he's 2 years old or 3 years old and he's very much attached to his mother, then you separate him from his biological mother, he will not be happy. Even if you take him to happy places on earth, take him to Disneyland for 1 week or 2 weeks. You keep him busy there, but at the end of the day, at the end of these 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 5 weeks, he will tell me, where is my mom? I want to go back home. I need my mother. He's searching for his mother. He is inseparable from his mother. You cannot separate it. Attached to his mother. We, the people, are attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether we like it or not. He's the source of happiness in our life. He's the caretaker, He's the nurturer, He's the sustainer, He's the provider, He's the cherisher. So if we decide to stay away from Him, we would be like that baby. We might be busy with some entertainments, but for a short period of time. At the end, he wants to go back to his original mother, because he finds real happiness with her. ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله. Those who have faith, those who have connection with God, they only find refuge and real happiness with the remembrance of God, with the companionship of God. You cannot replace the companionship of God with any other type of social relationships. Neither your parents, nor your wife, or your husband, or your children, or your close friends are able to provide you the same nurturance and nourishment and satisfaction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to provide. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Allah, indeed, it's only Allah بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. It's only through His remembrance. There is no other way. There is no other medication or solution. And therefore, many people, they are able to find this solution, while others, they either don't want to find it, or they cannot find it. They cannot find it. إلهي من ذا الذي ذاق حلاوة مناجاتك فرام عنها بدلا. Who's the one that was able to achieve, to taste the satisfaction, the sweetness of your munajat? Communion munajat, which is a private conversation. This is the munajat, where we whisper privately to someone. This is munajat. If someone can find the sweetness of this munajat, this relationship with you, this very intimate relationship with you, would he then after that search for another alternative, another friend, another companion? These types of social relationships that we have in this life are all artificial, my friends. No matter how much you love your wife, or your son, or your father, or your mother, or your teacher, or your mentor, these are all artificial, temporary. The real relationship is with Him. The genuine relationship, the genuine friendship is with Him. Because you can substitute any type of relationship. I've seen some people who say that if something happens to my wife, I will die immediately after her. All of a sudden his wife dies, but nothing happens to him. He's still healthy and smiling. And after 6 months or 8 months, you will find him with another person. This is our nature. There is a substitute for everything. I have seen some mothers who say, if my son dies, I'm going to die with him. I'm going to be buried with him. But this is not real. But when it comes to our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the friendship with Him, we cannot find an alternative. We cannot find a substitute. Now, where is the way? How do we get into that relationship? How we make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala present in our life? I'm telling you, my friends, the main reason for humanity's disturbance, emotional disturbance, spiritual disturbance, is the absence of the Lord from their life. وَلَا تَكُونُوا This is not my wording, this is the Quran. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. When they forgot about their Lord, they became confused in their life, disoriented. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. He cannot find himself. He's lost, completely lost and confused. Someone can forget about his friend, his book, his iPhone, but this person, he forgets about his own self. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي. If if you turn away from me and from my relationship, Allah says, if you turn away from my relationship, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Then we would make his life miserable for him. ضَنْكًا. We would take away peace from his life. No stability, no peace. He's disturbed. And I'm not talking here only about the Western civilization and the Western countries. We have it in our own Islamic countries, in our own Islamic communities, in our own Islamic countries and cities and neighborhoods. Some people, they might perform the prayers, the 5 daily prayers. They don't miss out on any one of them, but still they are disturbed and disconnected from them. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمَ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ and then فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who are forgetful and negligent about the purpose of their prayers. What is the purpose of the prayers, my friends? In one word, what is it? Why do we pray? Huh? Why do we pray? Can someone answer? Why do we pray? One word only. Huh? وَأَقِمُ الصَّلَاةَ وَأَقِمُ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ وَأَقِمُ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ إِنَّ السَّاعَةَ آتِيَةٌ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا. The purpose of the prayers is to remember Him, is to talk to Him, to converse with Him, to connect with Him. لِذِكْرِ ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. The meaning of it, establish the prayers. اذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. Establish the 5 daily prayers. اذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا وَسَبِّحُوهُ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. Glorify Him. And this is what we do in the prayers. So some people, they do pray, but they do not establish the connection. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. It becomes a routine in his life, something that he's used to it, not something that he is in need to eat. I've seen some people who eat food not because they are hungry, but it's lunchtime. They have to join others. They have to eat, not because they need the food, because it's time to eat, even if they are not hungry. This is the case with so many people who does the prayers, who practice the prayers, but they don't understand the meaning of the prayers. They don't go to the prayers with enthusiasm, with compassion, with attention. It's a burden. He just wants to get that off of his chest. Let me do the prayers and get myself off. Free myself. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Where is the way, my friends, my brothers and sisters? These nights are attributed to Al-Banin, great lady in the history of Islam. Al-Banin is not the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ. She does not hail from the household of the Prophet. Her father was not a prophet, was not an imam, was not a successor to an imam, an ordinary person. But the mother, Al-Banin, Fatima al-Kilabiyya, she possessed unique qualities. Unique qualities. We will come to them, inshallah. during the course of these 3 or 4 nights. The reason we are here tonight is to remember this lady and to learn from her. She's a good mother. She raised 4 children. She's a good wife. She's a good friend and good companion. We have to be inspired by her. The difference between the followers of Ahlul Bayt and those who chose to follow differently is that the followers of Ahlul Bayt are inspired by their leaders. Inspired by their leaders. They follow their footsteps. They learn from them. This is the main reason why we commemorate and celebrate. We had a discussion with a Sunni scholar in America, and he acknowledges. He said one of the differences between the Shias and the Sunnis are out of touch with their leaders. If you ask an average Sunni in the street, what do you know about such and such person? He knows nothing. He doesn't know when he was born, when did he die, how did he die, what did he do. He only knows that this is a companion of the Prophet. While the Shias, they go into the details. So I said to him, we go into the details to learn and to get inspired. It's not a fairy tale. When we read these stories, it's not for fictional entertainment. We need to be inspired and learn from her. AlBanin, we learn from her. Today we have a crisis in our community, in our society. We have a crisis in the marriage life, in the institution of marriage and family. In every household, in every family, in every corner, in every village, in every country, in every society. Is AlBanin relevant to me? If someone asks you tomorrow, where were you last night? You tell them I was in Muhammadan Trust. What was going on? You should have been in the marathon today. Why were you in Muhammadan Trust? What is the answer? We were commemorating AlBanin. Who's AlBanin? Someone who died 1400 years ago. You barely know her name. Who's she? We have to know that. She's a lesson to me. I learn lessons from her. I learn lessons from her values, from her stand, from her sacrifice, from her patience, from her altruism. When she gives 4 of her children, it's not easy. To give 4 of your children, and then she would not ask about them. When this harbinger comes to Medina and he cries loud, Ya Ahla Yathrib la muqama lakum biha. She comes to him and she says to him, Ayyuha al-na'i, akhbarni an al-Hoseine, ahwa hayyun am mayyit. Akhbarni an al-Hoseine. She had 4 children there. She never said, tell me about my own kids. What do you call this? Either this is a craziness, someone who's crazy, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or this is nobility. A noble lady like her. She's an inspiration for us. So today, if you are fed up with your marriage, with your husband, with your wife, you have to think of those before you. You learn from them. This is not a fairy tale. We have to go home tonight with a message, my friends. And no message is more powerful and more effective and more influential than the message of Ahlul Bayt, alayhi salam. So, let's go back to the first question. How do we get ourselves to that path? How to try to strengthen our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What are the ways, my friends? My friends, let me tell you something. All of us here and elsewhere, at some point in our life, we come across some moments of spiritual weakness. Each and every person, with no exception. With no exception. The only exception are the Anbiya and the Awsiya. And some scholars believe that even the Anbiya, they went through this spiritual weakness. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا وَارْحَمْنَا. آدم الإيمان ظلمنا أنفسنا وظنوني إذ ذهب مغاضبا فظن أن لن نقدر عليه. It was a spiritual weakness. Yunus, وظنوني, and others. So each and every person, except the Ma'sumin, infallibles, they must go through spiritual disorientation and weakness in their life. But we have to know how to survive, how to get out of it. There is a way. We have to know the way. We should not give up. Someone who does not have faith, when he reaches a dead end, he would think of what? Help me. You have a friend. They tell you about what? When there is a dead end in his life. He thinks of committing suicide. Many people talk about it. I would kill myself. I would put an end to my misery. But in Islam, we have a solution. A person who has a solution in his life would not be depressed. The other day somebody asked me, does a faithful person becomes depressed? He gets depression, clinical depression? Listen to the answer. We have something called clinical depression and something called sadness. The person who's well connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, awliya Allah, the true friends, the true servants of Allah, the sweethearts of Allah, they will not get clinical depression. They will be sad, yes, they will feel down. One of them is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَلَا تَذْهَبْ نَفْسُكَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسَرَاتٍ. Allah says to the Prophet, He's consoling him. He's saying, Ya Rasulullah, do not kill yourself. Do not destroy yourself because of them, because of the non-believers. Because he was sad, but he was not depressed. He was not depressed. The one who is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a solution. He will not get depressed. Ya Habiba man, la Habiba lah. Ya Tabiba man, la Tabiba lah. Someone who is depressed, he has no tabib, no doctor, no healer. But awliya Allah, they have healers. They go back to Him. They are connected with Him. When they feel unhappy, they go to Him. When they feel unhappy with their family members, with their friends, with those who are around them, they seek refuge in the one who never disappoints them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the road? How do we get to Him? My brothers and sisters, the most incredible and the most critical device that we carry inside us, what is it? Other than your iPhone. What else is so important that you carry with you day and night? From birth to birth, you carry that device with you. Inside you. What is it? Ahsan. Some of you are pointing to here, and others are pointing to there. And both are correct. It's the qalb. The Quran uses sometimes qalb and sometimes nafs interchangeably. And it's the same. Of course, there is some delicate difference between them. Atheists, agnostics, ulama, they believe that there is some difference between them. There are differences. But Quran uses them interchangeably. And-nafs or al-qalb. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. You carry this inside you. This is the most critical device, the most important. And the biggest threat that this nafs faces is what? What is the biggest threat to this nafs, to your nafs al-qalb? What is it? The most serious threat, the biggest danger that could face your nafs is sinning. الذنب والخطيئة. Moral violation. When you violate Allah's code of ethics, when you commit a sin, and if these sins accumulate one after the other, without you trying to wash them away, to cleanse the heart, to cleanse the nafs, then what would happen? Allah says in the Quran, كَلَّا بَرَّانَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ رَبِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ كَلَّا بَرَّانَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ. Layers of hijab and veils are going to accumulate, and they will detach the heart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will detach us from Him. He's there, but we don't see Him. We pray, but we don't enjoy our prayers. We read the Quran, but the Quranic recitation is what? Is boring. We start enjoying in music, and songs, and parties, and dancing. When it comes to the Quran and dua, very boring. Why very boring? Is it really the dua boring? No. Because the heart is not relating to it. This is something strange to my ears. This is not the language that I understand. I created this distance between me and dua and the prayers and the Quran. I created this gap, this distance. وَإِنَّكَ لَا تَحْتَجِبُ عَنْ خَلْقِكَ إِلَّا أَنْ تَحْجُبَهُمُ الْأَعْمَالُ دُونَكَ. Oh my Lord, Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, you are like a sun which shines on everything in this universe. Except sometimes I choose to carry an umbrella. I don't like the sun rays. So I detach myself. I create a veil between me and the sun. Some people create that veil between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the guidance and the light and the faith, philosophers they call it al-faith al-ilahi, does not reach them. Doesn't reach them. They create that veil, that partition. They create a partition. They say to him, thank you very much, we don't need you. إِلَّا أَن تَحْجُبَهُمُ الْأَعْمَالُ دُونَكَ. Through what? Through our a'mal, our deeds. Through our deeds. So the most dangerous disease to the soul, to the nafs, to the heart, is when we commit a sin. And if we choose not to go back to Allah, not to repent, then what would happen? Listen to the Quran. In Surah Al-Baqarah, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوَةً. قَسْوَةُ الْقَلْبِ. The harshness of the heart. We have two terms here. Harshness and hardness. One of them is negative, the other is positive. Harshness is negative. Hardness, quwwatul qalb, is positive. This is required. Al-mu'min qawiyyun. The believer, waliyullah, his heart is very strong. His heart is hard. So the hardness is required, but the harshness is terrible, destroys the heart. Qaswatul qalb. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam says, ما ضرب عبد بعقوبة أقسى أشد من قسوة القلب. Sometimes Allah chooses to punish you. He has various ways of punishment. Sometimes He takes money away from you. You lose your job. Sometimes the person loses his health. Sometimes his house. Sometimes his brother. Sometimes his limbs. But these are all easy. The harshest sentence and the most severe sentence, ما ضرب عبد بعقوبة أشد من قسوة القلب, is when the heart, the seat of mercy and love and compassion, becomes harsh. ثم قست قلوبكم من بعد ذلك فهي كالحجارة. It's like a rock. أو أشد قسوة, even worse than a rock. وإن من الحجارة لما يتفجر منه الأنهار. This is because of the accumulation of sins. So how do we cleanse that? Is there a solution or not? There is no solution. Yes, there is a solution. What is the solution? Is to purify the heart. How do I purify my heart? Now, I decide to go back to Allah. I want to enjoy His companionship. I miss Him a lot. What should I do? There is a way or there is no way? Cardiologist came to physically treat your heart. Religion came to spiritually cleanse your heart. If you decide, it depends on you. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. We all need this, my friends. Believe me. I am the one who's sitting here and lecturing you. I am in more need to this journey back to Allah than you guys. There is no exception here. We need to go back to Him. If we are to enjoy this life, what has been left of our life, how many weeks or months or days or years, I don't know. One day we have to go back to Him. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. We have to enjoy the remaining of our days. Enjoy His companionship. His companionship. We need to go back to Him. We need to cleanse the heart. Through what? The process of tawbah. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Those who did excessiveness of the crimes and violations, don't think that you have been thrown away from Him. He would not open the door for you. He is there available. This Lord is very merciful, very forgiving, very compassionate. Philosophers, Al-Qazwini, they have a beautiful term. They say, Al-waslu ba'da al-fasl. It's very delicious. That you reconnect after disconnect. Have you seen some of you in your relationships, social relationships, emotional relationships? when you are with a person, and then you get into a fight with that person, and then you don't talk to that person 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and then you go back to that person. You discover new things in him. You start loving him more than before. More than before. This is al-wasl ba'd al-fasl. When you reconnect after disconnect. And this is exactly what you do when you go back to Allah. Because sins throws us away from Him. So when we repent, we go back to Him, we enjoy His companionship. We feel that enjoyment. We feel that enjoyment. If the repentance is sincere. If the repentance is sincere. How does this repentance become really sincere and serious? It has 3 steps, and I will conclude with these 3 steps. Philosophers say the first one is al-ilm. The second step is al-ilm. The first one is al-ilm. The second one is al-hal. And the third one is al-fi'al. These are the 3 steps to go back to Allah. To restore this relationship with Him, you need to go through this 3 steps. The process that contains 3 steps. Step number 1 is al-ilm, awareness of what you did. My friends, many of us, we violate, we commit sins and crimes and insult and injury to others, but we are the last one to know about it. The last one. You know, in America, when we are pulled over, and I've been pulled over many times. I drive with enormous speed. The first thing the officer tells me is, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" This is the first thing he asks. Why? He wants you to know the reason. So you don't tell him, "Officer, I didn't do anything." He wants you to be aware. If you are not aware, you will not learn. Al-ilm, to be aware of what you did, to acknowledge, to confess the gravity of what you did, to realize what you did. This is number 1. Number 2, al-hal, the condition. First is awareness, second is feeling. Deep sense of pain inside you. Because at that period when you committed that sin, you disconnected yourself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You deprived yourself for so many days, so many weeks, so many months. You created a distance between you and Him. You deprived yourself, so you have to feel the remorse. You have to feel it deep down in your heart that you did something very grave, very terrible, very bad. You feel the pain, you feel the bleeding. This is al-hal. The third, they say after you feel the pain sincerely, you try to restore al-fi'al. How do you restore? How do you take yourself back to the first position? And even better, and even closer than the first position. By restoration. By restoration. Ulama, they give examples, they say the eyes. Your eyes. The eyes that have been involved in haram, watching haram and seeing haram, being filled with haram. Your eyes are very sensitive. The Prophet ﷺ said, غضوا أبصاركم ترون العجائب. غضوا أبصاركم ترون العجائب. Try to control your vision. Cast your eyes down. You're going to see glorious things in this universe. You're going to see some secrets in this universe that others are unable to see. Others are unable to detect. غضوا أبصاركم. Try to control your vision. Try to control. ليس شيء, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam says, there is nothing in your body is more sensitive and more covetous than your eyes. The more you give to the eyes, the more it's asking for. The eyes will not say, well, it was enough for me, I saw enough things material tonight or today. It's enough for the week. It will not say this. It's covetous. So if you give in to its demands, it will knock you down. It will knock you down. Be careful of your eyes. Be careful when you go out. قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهم. Be very careful. This is the main gate to the heart, to the soul. No one can say, I can see any movie, I can watch any movie, I can go any place, can go to this party and I can watch this person and this picture and this, and then I can keep my faith strong. At the time of the prayers, I can stand before my Lord and I can concentrate on my prayers. This is not true. One of the weapons of mass destruction used by Shaitan, Satan, is your eyes. Your eyes. Through your eyes, you can penetrate into your heart. So be careful. Be careful of what you see. And this is for both, not only for you guys, for you sisters too. For both of us. This is why hijab is important. This is why I want you to keep your hijab strong. Hijab is a message that you send to yourself and to others. When you put on the hijab, when you observe the hijab, this is a declaration that I'm a faithful person, faithful to my Lord. I'm faithful to Him. I'm off limits. This is declaration. Be careful of your hijab. I heard many stories which is happening here in London, your city. That some of the sisters who have been observing hijab for many years, more than 10 years, 20 years, they are throwing it away. Do not let the shaitan infiltrate your heart and your mind and corrupt you. Don't. The other thing that we have to be careful of, my friends, nowadays many of the youth, the young generation, they hang out together and they go to these cafes and restaurants and mashallah, every time I come to London and pass by these roads, I see 3, 4, 5, 10 more restaurants are being opened. Afghani and Indian and Iraqi and Lebanese and Hindi and whatever. And most of them have shishas and nargilas, mashallah. You have to be careful of the surrounding of the environment. Maybe the shisha itself, maybe, it's not haram, maybe. Although some scholars, they say it is. But let's say it's not. But the environment is dangerous. The surrounding is dangerous. The climate where you go, where you sit, the things that you see, the things that you say, the things that you do, the behavior. It's very dangerous. Be careful. It's not conducive to you as a believer, as a follower of Ahlul Bayt. I cannot imagine someone who's sitting in a majlis of Ashura and Ramadan and Fatimiyya and this and that, and then I find him somewhere else. Either this or that. Don't cheat on yourself. Don't cheat on yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Be very careful of the environment around you. Our manners have to be compatible, my friends, compatible with Ahlul Bayt. I cannot imagine a person who says, Ya Hoseine, Hoseine is in my vein and my blood and my arteries, and then he wastes 5 or 6 hours of his valuable time sitting in a cafe, doing argument and shisha. Is this compatible with Ya Hoseine, with the message of Ahlul Bayt? Don't do that, my friends. I am your brother, and to some of you I am a father. And I advise you, don't waste your time. Imam Hussein needs people who are very serious, who take life very seriously, who are leaders. Imam Hussein does not accept less than a leadership role for you, within your own capacity. I'm not saying you have to become Ayatollah al-Umma. No. But in your role, you can be one of God's major sons in your role. You can change the community around you. You can change this society. You can change the country around you. People who led the revolutions in Tunisia and Egypt and Libya and there and Bahrain now and other places are people your age and younger than you. 17 years old, 18 years old, 20 years old. We are different. We follow Ahlul Bayt. Remember, every time you are about to do something incompatible with Ahlul Bayt, say it to yourself. Say it to yourself, I love Imam Mahdi, I love Imam Hussein, I love Fatima al-Zahra, I adore Zainab. If they were to see me today, if the Prophet would pass by and see me here, would he be okay with that? Would he be happy? Would he be happy? I don't think he would be happy. Hold yourself accountable. Imam al-Mahdi is looking for strong Shi'as. Not only physically strong, spiritually strong and powerful. And remember, if one of you does this, all of you are leaders. You are going to adversely influence others. One of you sisters, if you throw your hijab away, you're going to affect others. Not just you. Look at you in the capacity of an influential person, a leader in the community. من سن سنة حسنة فله أجرها وأجر من عمل بها إلى يوم القيامة ومن سن سنة سيئة فعليه وزرها ووزر من عمل بها إلى يوم القيامة. If you guide, if you are a source of guidance, then all those who are going to follow you and be inspired by you, you get a portion of their credit. Till the Lord's judgment. Remember, they will take us underground one day. But still can make credits, those who are inspired by you. On the other hand, if we do something stupid, فَعَلَيْهِ وِزْرُهَا وَوِزْرُ مَنْ عَمِلَ بِهَا إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. We have to pay a heavy price. The followers of Ahlul Bayt, they have to be powerful first and foremost in their spirit and nafs. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. We have a huge number of Muslims nowadays, 1.5 worldwide. To every village you go today, to every city you go, there is a mosque. There are people who pray. But are they good Muslims? You saw what this guy did in Boston the other day. Taylor White, 26 years old. He came to America for asylum, seeking refuge from a war-torn country. And he went to the best school there. He graduated. He was a boxer. He got married. He received healthcare, education, money from the American government and the American society. But then he chose to betray and to cut the hand that gave him help. This is not the spirit of Islam. This is not what Islam taught me. This is not what Imam Hoseine teaches me. This is not what Imam Ali teaches me. Imam Ali says, خَيْرُ الْبِلَادِ مَا حَمَلَكْ لَا مَا حَمَلَكْ. The best land, the best country is the one that embraces you and takes care of you. Shias do not betray. I said this in an interview a couple of days. When they asked me about this, I said what we learn from Ahlul Bayt, not to betray the land, the community, the society. We don't. Actually, we give help and we sacrifice. Muslims, 1.5 billion worldwide. Are they all practicing Muslims, good Muslims? They adhere to the true spirit and the true message of Islam? No, they don't. But you are different, guys. You are different. You are the followers of Ahlul Bayt. You have a bigger responsibility. Bigger responsibility. Remember always remember, when the shaitan comes to me to cheat on me, to whisper in my ears, to tell me, see, he did this, she did that, do the same, go here, nobody's watching you. I say no. I subscribe to the school of Ahlul Bayt, not the school of Abu Fulan and Abu Fulan. School of Ahlul Bayt. I subscribe to the school of al-Banin, Fatimah al-Zahra alayhi salam. We have 3 more nights, and I want to focus on them on family issues, on marriage and divorce and, family values, how to be a good husband, how to be a good wife, how to be a good father, a good mother. Because al-Banin is about good family, noble family. Al-Banin is about a good mother. A mother that was not selfish at all. At the night of her wedding, she asked Imam Ali alayhi salam. She said, Sayyidi Al-Hoseine. I have a wish. Would you fulfill that wish for me? I said, sure. I will. She said, Sayyidi Al-Hoseine. إن الحسن والحسين عندما يسمعان اسم فاطمة. My name is Fatima. When you call me by my name, Hassan and Hussein, I'm going to hear that name. And then they are going to remember. They are going to remember their mother. They are going to remember her tragic death. And I don't want them to suffer anymore because of me. So please, if you will, and if you agree, change my name. Don't call me by my first name. Imam al-Mu'min, of course, the most wise, the most considerate, chose a good name for her. From that first night, the night of wedding, he gave her this beautiful nickname. He called her al-Banin, the mother of the sons, the children, noble sons. And she became truly al-Banin. She had 4 children. Al-Abbas alayhi salam, Ali, Abdullah, and Ja'far were raised under the supervision of their father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and their noble mother, Fatima al-Kilabiyya, al-Banin. And the purpose of his marriage also, the purpose of the marriage of Amir al-Mu'minin, though he married Fatima al-Kilabiyya many years, maybe more than 20 years after the departure of Lady Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. So the reason for his marriage was also noble. He wanted to receive children, to be of help and of assistance to their brother Hoseine alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. And this is exactly what happened. They chose to leave Medina in the caravan of Imam Hoseine to reach the land of Karbala. Riwayat al-Khassa, the exclusive narrations of Ahlul Bayt. It says that on the day of Qiyamah, the day of Mahshar, تأتي فاطمة عليها السلام فتشق طريقها في المحشر. She cuts through the people standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. وحولها ثلل من الملائكة, surrounded by groups of angels from every direction. Jibreel comes to her. He tells her, Ya bint Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, bima tabda'ina bishikaya. O the woman and daughter of the Prophet, you have suffered a lot in your life. You faced many tragedies, many calamities, many abuses. Which one is the first? Which ingredients that you are going to bring before God today? The riwayat says, فَتُخْرِجُ كَفَّيْهِ قَطِعَةً. She's going to raise two separate arms. And she says, أَيْ رَبِّ أَحْكُمْ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ مَنْ قَطَعَ هَاتَيْنِ الْكَفَّيْنِ. Oh my Lord, my first ingredient, though I have many, but I want you to be the judge today between me and those who sever these two arms. إِنَّ يَوْمَ الْفَصْلِ كَانَ مِيقَاتًا. Indeed, on that day, the day of decision making, is a day being appointed, is going to come soon. Of course, Fatima al-Zahra, she suffered many tragedies, but she wants to pay back AlBanin for her sacrifice. Bishr ibn Hibman, he says, I came to Medina, I stood by the commands of Imam Zain al-Abidin, I raised my voice, Ya Ahla Yathrib, Ya Ahla Yathrib, the people of Medina, I want you to gather. They came to me, Mal khabar, ayyuhan na'i, what's going on? What news you carry for us? I said to them, Al-Khabar inda qabri Rasulullah. I want you to gather there, near the shrine of the Prophet, the grave of the Prophet. When they all gathered there, I said, Ya Ahla Yathrib, la muqama lakum biha. قتل الحسين فأدمعي مدراه. الجسم منه بكربلاء مفرج والراس منه على القناة يدار. All the people of Medina, all the one who loves the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and his family, I have this terrible news from you. The head of Imam Hoseine is separated from his body. He says, a lady came up to me. She said to me, أيها الناعي هل عندك خبر من ولدي الحسين? He says, I was surprised. I was telling them that Hussein is being murdered, and this lady still comes to me and she asked, what happened to Hussein? She must be very distraught and disoriented. I asked about her identity. They told me this is Lady al-Banin. Yes, of course, because she lost 4 of her children. So I did not want to tell her anything about her children. She kept asking me about Imam Hoseine. What happened to Waladi al-Hoseine, my sweetie Hoseine? I said to her, Ya al-Banin, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك جعفر. May Allah reward you for the martyrdom of your son Ja'far. She kept asking about Hussein. Again I said, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك عبد الله. May Allah reward you for the martyrdom of Abdullah, the martyrdom of Aun. She said, did you hear me asking you about my children? Tell me what happened to my sweetheart Hussein. I said to her, يا أم البنين عظم الله لك الأجر بأبي عبد الله الحسين. يا سايلة يا بنيت الجدين، إن كان تردين الخبر زين اقعدي وهلي دمعة العين. أسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله، إلهنا بفاطمة وأبيها وبعدها وبنيها على السر المستودع فيها يا الله. اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل الدين. اللهم أيد وسدد جميع العاملين في سبيلك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم وفقهم لما تحب وترضى. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة الحسين وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين وجد الحسين عليهم السلام. اللهم لا تخرجنا من هذه الدنيا حتى ترضى عنا. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وارحم موتانا وشافي مرضانا واقضي حوائجنا للدنيا والآخرة. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ومذيلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. واجعلنا اللهم من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلوات.